Hello. Sorry, outside today, so I wanted to show you how to do it, so that you would be good to go. So let's do screen one. Thanks. So this is your assignment. You can find it right on Canvas like it normally is at. But let me show you what's going on, what to look at, etc. We've done these definitions before. Transversal, right? So on the board up here, I moved the desk around. I really threw y'all off today. Sorry about that. Transversal, it's the line that intersects two or more lines. So for example, which of these are the transversal? We've got A, we've got B, we've got T. I'm gonna stand at the board to do this, so maybe you have some, but, right, so A and B are your parallel lines, so those are not it. It's the other one, it's T. So in this case, our example is line T. Right, my right pen, and hopefully it will be writing for you. Line T. Awesome. Okay. So that's going to be your transversal, trans crossing, right? Think of the word trans as crossing. All right. So from there, we have some angles formed by our transversals. We have corresponding angles, alternate interior meaning inside, alternate exterior is outside, and our consecutive interior, right? So the corresponding, right? Corresponding meaning, okay, corresponding is going to mean that it is, well, in English, it means to talk back and forth. Corresponding, they're like the same, right? Like it's in the same spot, right? So which ones do we have that are corresponding angles? We have 2 and 6. Those are corresponding because those to me look like they're both in the passenger seat. Is that a math thing to remember? No, but it's just the way that I remember it. Other ones that are in the same spot would be that 3 and that 7. Another one, let's be a different color, so what? 1, which would match with 5, right? Those are in the same position. So anything that's in that same spot. Mismo. Okay, so here we need to label all the angles on the same side of the transversal that are in the same position. So we have angle 1 will be congruent with angle 5. Ooh, I didn't really talk about that. We've talked about it before, but this symbol that you'll see here, right, that looks like a equal sign with a tilde over it, that is congruent. And remember that congruent and equal are sisters. They're very close to each other. The difference is equal has to do with numbers or values versus congruent can be same size. Okay, so that symbol just means congruent. All right, let's list these other ones. We've got angle 2 is congruent to angle 6. We've got, 1 and 5, 2 and 6. Angle 3 will be congruent to angle 7. Angle 4 be congruent to angle 8, right? So all of those are your congruent angles. All right, cool. Alternate interior. I don't know why, but I think it was theta, right? Let's work. We've got, oh, you barely see it. I need this one, right? I see that Z. Whenever I see that Z, I know that the insides of the Z are going to be congruent. Those are alternate interior angles, right? So I just drew a couple for us here. Angle 3 will be congruent to angle 6, right? Because they're alternate, right? Alternate means one's on one side of the transversal, the other's on the other, right? If on the transversal. And they're inside those parallel lines. The other pair of those, your theta's backwards, we've got 4 and we've got 5. I don't love that because that's the same marking. So I thought I changed my color, but since I didn't, one way to mark that, on this, that 3 and 4 are not necessarily congruent is because their marks are different, right? 3 has 1 mark. 4 has 2, right? So we do that, it's either done this way, or you'll see it drawn with like 1 line versus 2 lines, right? Like either way, those are fine. You're just trying to signal what is congruent with the other. So this is angle 4 is congruent to angle 5, okay? Some of you might guess the alternate exterior, right? So we have here, what's on the outside? Well, one is on the outside, and that's gonna match. I need to alternate, so one's on this side of the transversal, I need the other one on this side of the transversal, right? I need one, in this case, to the left and to the right, you know, it could be up and down, depending on the way that your thing is drawn, but regardless, in this one, to right with red, angle 1 is going to be congruent angle 8, right? Those are on different sides and it's crossing a transversal. Sorry, different sides of the transversal and outside your parallel lines. That's what I meant. Actually, let me leave that, right? So angle 8 and angle 1, angle 7, see I make 2 marks on that, versus angle 2. Those are going to be the congruent because they're alternate exterior angles, right? Alternate exterior. All right. And then consecutive interior angles, right? They're not congruent on these ones, but when those lines are parallel, which in this case, everything's going to be parallel. When those lines are parallel, these 2 angles are going to add to 180. So they're not going to be congruent here, right? They're going to be supplementary, right? Again, that word sup. Let me make sure I'm spelling it right. These ones are going to be supplementary, which means they add to 180. Oops. All right. So which ones are those? Well, you can't see the picture anymore. Ooh, that's showcase that side sounds great, you guys. I'm recording this during your during the wellness time. So, which are consecutive interior angles? So, the word consecutive, like if you win consecutive soccer games, you won back-to-back soccer games. Consecutive means that they're right next to each other, they're one after the other, right? So my consecutive or next to each other, interior, inside, consecutive are these 2, 3 and 5, right? And I'm going to write that as angle 3 and angle 5, right? They're not congruent. They might be if it's perpendicular, but they're in this picture, they're definitely not congruent. And I'm going to do this. The other side, just changing my color just to keep it fresh. But angle 4 and angle 6, right? Angle 4 and angle 6. Those are going to be consecutive because they are next to each other. They're going to add to 180, which is helpful. And I happen to mark them correctly. So if this was done with pencil, you may notice, pointing to the board, angle 4 and angle 5 are going to be congruent. They're alternate interior angles. We already know that. Angle 3 and angle 6 are congruent, alternate interior angles. So it's a puzzle. They all fit together. Okay. For that one. Okay. This, I hope that y'all can hear me. I'll check after. Okay. So we have an example here. Name the type of relationship. So you should be able to like refer back to it, and that's fine. We have angle 1 here and angle 8. We're going to talk about it right now. All right. You may notice they're on the same side of the transversal, right? Make sure that you know that that's a transversal. Here, L and M are your parallel lines, and the transversal is almost the vertical one, right? I meant horizontal. Okay, so 1 and 8 are on the same side of the transversal, right? So we're going to say same side. And then the question, right? So first question is like, how does it relate to the transversal? These ones are on the same side. The second question is, are they inside the parallel lines or are they outside? All right, with our parallel lines, this is the inside. You can't really see, you see it a little bit. Sorry, that terrible scratching, but they are outside the parallel lines, these ones, because outside's this side, and this side, right? Outside those parallel lines. So these are same side exterior. And if I was with you today, I would ask you, do you think these are congruent or do they add to 180? I drew them wrong. I'm gonna draw them like this. Because it almost looked like congruent because they had the same markings, but they're not the same markings. They should be different. They're gonna add to 180 here, right? Why? Well, again, a whole explanation, of course. 1 and 5, those two are because they are they are corresponding. But and 5 and 8 are a linear pair. They make a line, they make 180. So since 1 is congruent to 5, and 5 and 8 make a line, therefore 1 and 8 make a line. So that's the add to 180. Okay. 2 and 3. I just brought those up, and I'll bring them up again. Those are a linear pair. They make a line, right? They're a linear pair because they are touching, right? They are adjacent. And I'll write that word down. These two are adjacent to one another. Very close to Spanish, just add. I can't pronounce it nor spell it. Sorry about that. But adjacent, that really just means that they're next to each other here, right? They are going to, again, add to 180. They're supplementary. They make a line. All right. 5 and 7. Ooh, those ones. All right, good. Those are vertical, right? The V's touch. What V's am I talking about? I'm talking about this V and this V, right? The vertical angles, any line, any two lines that cross create vertical angles. Those vertical angles are always congruent. Right? Maybe I'll write that these ones are supplementary. Oh, I don't want to. These ones are congruent. I was going to put a C, but I don't want you to think it was complementary. And these are supplementary. Nope. Golly, don't. I was thinking ahead. Oops. The linear pair are supplementary and the vertical angles are congruent. Mistakes happen. All right, next we have 2 and 7. All right, so first think about the relationship of the transversal. Both of these are north or above the transversal, so that's going to be their same side, right? If they were on opposite sides, that's that alternate interior or alternate exterior. These again are outside your parallel line, so they're the same side exterior. 1 and 3. No, or you should know. 1 and 3. Those again are your vertical angles. And I forgot to add my vertical angles. I'm going to put in here for myself that means they're congruent versus the same side exterior, again, are going to add to 180, just like 1 and 8 do, right? They're just on the other side. All right, we have 6 and 7. 6 and 7 are right next to each other. We've got a 6, we've got a 7. Maybe by my marking, you know, they're not congruent. They are a linear pair. And those linear pairs always add to 180, so they're supplementary. Though the parentheses is not really necessary, but I think that it's helpful just to like really get ourselves in that rhythm of it. All right, so find the measure of each angle. I'll do some of these. I'm going to leave you to some. But again, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then we've got corresponding angles being congruent. Alternate interior, our angles are congruent. Alternate exterior are congruent. vertical angles congruent? When they're a linear pair or they're adjacent angles, adjacent meaning next to, right? So, they're supplementary. All right, so we'll do a couple and then I'll do an example. I'll let you try the one that says now you try, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so we're given that measure of angle 1 is 65. I'm gonna draw that in there so I don't lose that. All right, find the measure of each angle. I'm gonna work in the picture first because and I like to draw it and I like to visualize all of it, right? So if this is 65, I can go to my vertical angle right across the way to 3, which is also 65. 3 and 5, right? 3 and 5 there are alternate interior angles. So it must be 65 as well. 1 and 5 are corresponding angles. Again, they'd be congruent. 5 and 7 are my vertical angles, right? So that's going to be 65. 3 and 7 are your corresponding. 1 and 7 are your alternate exterior angles. It's going to keep on happening, right? So those are those ones. I'm going to, I guess I'll fill in the chart as I go. So 1, I already knew. 3 is 65. 4, I don't know yet. 5 is 65. 6 and 8, I don't know, but 7 as well as 65. I'm going to draw my little degree symbol in there as well, just to be nice, just to make it look right. That's just great. Okay, no. One more. Okay, I just wanted it to be green. Okay, so I know that 1 and 2 make a line, right? It's going to be a different one. So I'm going to put the 2 arcs so that I know that 1, 2, because I know you're already trying pen and pencil, right? So 1 and 2 are not the same. So I'm not going to draw that same arc. I'm going to draw 2 arcs. And I need to remember 1 and 2 are linear pairs. Linear pairs are supplementary, right? What does supplementary mean? It means it's 180 degrees. So if 1 and 2 together are 180, I know that 1 is 65. I'm going to take that away, and then that's going to give me what angle 2 is, right? I got to borrow or regroup. What did you all call it? 115, right? So this bit is 115. So are the rest of them, right? We have a vertical angle here. That's 115. This corresponds to angle 2, so it's 115. This is vertical to 8, or they're alternate exterior, right? Puzzle. Okay, so those will all be 115. Okay, feel free to pause here so that you can try these. Right? Oh, there's a key point. What's the key point? Straight angle is. Just throw that out there. Okay, so try to find all those angles. Pause as I move on to example 2. Right? Be creative. Think of things. Right? They tell me 2 things. The measure of angle 4 is 5x plus 35. Measure of angle 7 is 45. So I could go right in here. I actually could find all of these. I could do it all, right? And I'm gonna, right? We've got 7 is gonna match 5. They're vertical angles, so that's 45. 5 and 3 are alternate interior. It's 45. 1 and 3 vertical, another 45. All right. Now, I can find all of these other angles from this, right? Do it, right? I know this is 45. The other one makes a line, so I'm going to take 180 minus 45 to see what the rest of angle 2 is. It's 135, and that goes for all of them, right? Because this linear pair needs to add to 180, as well as this one, right? They all need to add up to 180. So it's, yeah. Find the patterns, right? So angle 1 is 45, angle 2 is 135. Angle 3 is 45, Angle 4 is 135. Angle 5 is 45. Angle 6, 135. And angle 8 is another 135. Lovely. But I'm telling you, we're doing algebra, right? So, oh no, doesn't ask me. So I'm going to find it, right? We need to find x, right? Now, you got a couple things, right? I can set up a couple equations. Enjoy, do the one that makes you happiest, right? I could either say that those two angles add up to 180, right? We have 5x and 35, which I'm pulling just from here, and 45, right? I know that those are supplementary. Let me show you why, right? Let me make sure. Don't want to do it wrong. See how 4, we already know is 135. And 7 is the 45. So I know that those are supplementary. I could add them to 180. Those I could add to 180. I'm going to do it. I'm going to combine my like terms. I have 5x and 35 and 45 is 80. Right? Then I want to get my x by itself. So I'm going to subtract 80 on both sides. Right? 5x equals 100. And then when we divide both sides by 5, x is 20, right? So there's 1. But if you're like, oh, but I already knew, like it told me that angle 4 is that 5x plus 35, but I already know the angle 4 is 135, right? So if I said 5x plus 35 equals 135, some of you already might see this. Minus 35 minus 5. We have again 5x equaling 100, just like before. Divide by 5, and x is still 20. I teach you math, guys. Doesn't matter before you do it. You're going to get the same answer 4. Like if you don't, that's the problem, right? You know that. Okay, so here is, oops, I didn't mean to scroll down yet. I will in just a second, but this is how you figure all this out. Now you try, pause the video. Right, and this one specifically asks for x, right? That last one, we didn't because I was supposed to do it with you. So I did it with you. And parallel lines, we've got a word bank. Okay. So for these ones, I want to give you a little bit of a chance to try this on your own because I do think, you know, you're capable. We have our word bank on the top, making sure that we're understanding. We need to make sure that we name the relationship, set up the equation, solve for x, and then check it. Okay? These two, number one, how many do we have? Do we have 2? We have 2. Oh, we have 3. Okay. I love same. No, alternate interior is my favorite. Why? No reason. You just gotta have favorites. Well, actually, I don't have favorite humans. I just have favorite math things. All right. These two, they're in the same spot. They're in the matching locations, right? So to name the relationship, these are corresponding. Okay? Corresponding, look up at our things here, corresponding are congruent. So I'm going to set these two equal to each other, right? We know that 58 is going to equal to 5x minus 2. So if we add 2 on both sides, right, we have our 5x, that's going to equal to 60. When we divide by 5, x is 12. Okay, now we set up our equation, our name, set up our equation, solve for x. We did. Now let's check and substitute. So we're going to take our x here, plug it in. We're going to have 5 times 12 minus 2. 5 times 12 is 60. 60 minus 2 equals 58. True statement. True statement. So for these last two, I'm gonna have you, tell me what type they are, right? Do that checklist. Either set them equal or add them to 100, right? If they're congruent, just set them equal to each other. If they are a linear pair or supplementary in some way, they're adjacent to one another, then they're going to add 20. But that is our lesson. Oops. And she wanted to go away, and that's fine. But that's our lesson for the day. Please try the rest of those. Sorry that I was not in today. And sorry for switching everything up so fast, but that's it. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you heard everything. Yeah, and I will see you on Monday.